Welcome to Learn to Live Stress-Free. This is Christine Wright with Dr. Robert Wright Jr., your go-to wellness coaches of StressFreeNow.info. Our featured guest today is Jeanne M. Stafford, back with us again to share how to have more communication success by avoiding perfectionism and uncovering your blind spots. Jeanne M. Stafford is a professional speaker and communications trainer. From 15 years as a political and nonprofit fundraiser with local, national, and international clients, Jeanne learned on the job what works in communication and what doesn't. Jeanne's clients learn to communicate what they want to say when they want to say it. They learn to communicate succinctly and to make the impact they wish in every space they enter by thinking and saying yes. In addition, clients learn to be resilient in the face of conflict and establish strong, ongoing relationships at work and at home. In addition to speaking and training, Jeanne writes for the Huffington Post and is thrilled to be releasing her first of many books about communication this spring. She is the host of Jeanne Stafford's Networking Dinner in New York City, where she presents guest speakers and facilitates conversations to give guests the tool to become more successful communicators. Jeanne serves on several local boards in the arts and education. She brings her accrued wisdom to each keynote, workshop, and training session to help individuals and teams discover their inner yes and empower them to possibility. Jeanne's goal is for clients to uncover greater confidence to say what they want to say and to make the impact they want to make. Bob and I are thrilled to have Jeanne on the show today. Audience, welcome. Jeanne, thank you for being with us.
Welcome back, Jeanne. We are so happy that you could come back and share your amazing wisdom on so many things, including elevated forms of self-care and getting to yes.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. I love the format you've created here and love talking to both of you. Thank you.
We do, too. We enjoy having you back. Thank you, Jeanne.
Great. So, Jeanne, to start us off here, you have a most beautiful quote on your website that reads, "Sometimes going for the perfect keeps us from going for anything." Can you tell our audience why that's so and how sometimes striving for perfectionism rather than excellence can stop a person cold, and it actually increases the chances that they'll end up procrastinating instead of taking action?
Absolutely. The basis for my work, as you know, is improv, and improvisers learn to be fearless. In seconds, you have to respond to the audience, to the actor on the stage with you, and in seconds, you want to give an offer and be alive in the space and the scene. So it teaches fearlessness and embracing the unknown. And I've learned as a perfectionist myself that I have had some amazing experiences in my life when I've stopped studying so hard, when I've stopped preparing so hard, and I've allowed myself to trust that I've gotten as far as I need to take this leap. None of us knows what the future holds. And I think that we could all agree, all of us listening at this time in our country, that we're all looking to get an answer for what the future holds. And literally using up the space, wondering about that, and fearing is causing people to stop and stand still and to put their feet in the ground and create this stuckness that perfectionists often do because we want to study it all so that we can know what's going to happen. And improv teaches me to be fearless and embrace the unknown, and that's what I mean by going that actually keeps us stuck. And the longer we're stuck, then we're not producing things. So that's what I mean by that.
Great. I think I want to tell you how much I am in simpatico with your comments in the sense that when you mention about stopping the studying and actually when there's the need for a break, the important thing that I've discovered, that's when you're in the zone of unconscious competence. I mean, you're not saying, and I'm not saying, don't study. You've already done enough studying. And so this is the kind of thing like before a big exam, and you've been studying all along, the most important thing would be to get a good night's sleep rather than burning your eyes. I mean, there have been so many examples where people studied through the night and then they actually fell asleep during the exam, so which is actually not funny. But I wanted to point out that your improv, the way that you approach it, is you can approach it because you have unconscious competence. It's not like you're just getting up there for the first time and you're just doing this thing. And in fact, I would suspect that the way that you do it it looks so easy, like anyone could just get up there and do it, but you have a level of expertise and authority because you have gone inside and you are actually, what people are seeing is the authenticity that you're delivering because you've, as to use the old phrase, suffered the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune.
I love the word authenticity to describe what happens in an improv scene. I think that's fantastic and so true. The greatest thing I hear after an improv show, every time I hear it, I'm hearing it for the first time, is when an audience member comes up to me and says, "How much of that was planned beforehand?" And I'm always blown away. They say, "It just seems so simple. It seems so like you've done it 1,000 times before." That speaks to the trust improvisers have with each other on stage, that when we do that, it really comes across to the audience. It really, really rings true. There is something in the study of all comedy, and especially improv, that the audience laughs because of truth in comedy. The audience responds when they hear something on stage that resonates with their own personal experience in life. Every audience listens with their own personal filter. So when an audience laughs, that deep, beautiful laugh, 9 times out of 10, when they're watching a scene, it's because it reflected with their own personal truth. And in comedy, we call that truth in comedy. Jerry Seinfeld made an entire career out of it, right? The entire series was about truthful moments, real, hardcore, silly, simple, truthful moments. And that ability to tell stories that way, that ability to communicate that way, translates into authenticity. And aren't we all looking for authentic?
Yes, Jeanne. One of the things that speaking with you and listening to you, and when you talk about what improv is, it caused a moment of distillation for me, which was I said, oh, I get it now. The word improv is like in jazz with improvisation, when you go to a nightclub and you see guys, they just come and people come up from the audience and there's no script and they just start playing. And then there's, I've witnessed this a few times where the people are playing together and there comes a point where they all are in this flow state. And because you say, well, how does the guy on the sax know when to play? And there's something like a larger mind or experience that happens. And so with all of that said, what I'm trying to say is that I get it now with the improv, and I believe our audience really gets that. So this is a question that I've been waiting to ask you, Jeanne. You've worked as a professional fundraiser for many years, and you've said that a person has to be pathologically optimistic and driven by passion in order to be successful at raising money. When I read that on your website, I said, I think that was in a blog post, I said, wow, pathologically optimistic. I said, whoa, that is very powerful. So, Jeanne, can you tell our audience why that is so, and what is it about money that makes it so hard to raise, even when a group or individual has a fantastic or compelling cause? Because there are many people that have incredible causes or compelling causes, and they do have difficulty raising money. So what's that about?
Whew, it's a biggie, and so much to say about fundraising. It's fascinating, and because I started my entire career fundraising, I raised money for 15 years for political candidates across the country, presidential, gubernatorial, and mayoral. And when you raise money, the first most important thing you have to embrace is not to take a single thing personally. After, well, that's in the act of raising money. Aligning yourself with the message of raising money is really key. So I'm always fascinated when someone says, we're looking for a fundraiser with a Rolodex. I chuckle at that now after all these years of fundraising in the beginning of my career, and then all these years spending hours and hours on boards of directors raising money. And if there could be any great, I'll give two pieces of advice to people raising money on the corporate level, the high nonprofit level where there's a board of directors and they hire a fundraiser. When someone asks me if I will come in and work with the fundraiser, I say, if there's anything we could do, it is train the volunteers to align with the passion that put them in the seat to be on the board. Every one of us wants to be moved by another person. And when a person who sits on a board moves past the stuckness they may have over the act of asking money, they'll generate activity. Money will happen. I was pathologically optimistic. I was completely thrilled with the candidates that I worked for. I loved what I did. When I worked in the few nonprofit entities I did, I was emotionally drawn to the probable outcomes of raising money for this particular disease or this particular cause. So on two fronts, I would tell you, so the one is that if there are a board of directors and of a nonprofit, the best way to get them to release great fundraising results would be to train the board of directors to communicate their passion, what put them in the seat. So not to put all that weight on a fundraiser to generate that money, but train the fundraiser to assist the board in getting out those messages to the people they know they can reach. So that's number one on the A level, the higher level fundraising. And then the B level, which really should be the A level because it's probably the number one fundraiser listening on the phone, it's the local effort. The person who found a friend who is working to raise money to help support a family in need, or a school bake sale. I had a great question asked of me many, many years ago of someone who said, I have to raise a certain amount of money for this effort for my son's Boy Scouts. And what do I do? What is the number I should give if someone says, how much should I give? My answer has always been, and is always met with a big smile. The person says to me, well, how much do you want from me? I mean, what do you want this check to be? And I say, when was your last trip to Target? And they usually give me an answer. They usually know when they were last at Target. And I said, did you go there with a list? And they say yes. And then I say, did you spend more than what you planned on spending? And they say yes. And I say, I want that number. I want what you spent without thinking, to my cause that has great thought.
Wow.
So for everybody out there listening who has a cause, remember there are people who want to be directed and held in their direction. Well, I want to help you, but how much is that? So it's really aligning our relationship with money and realizing it's all the same. So where do you give it freely and without thought, and now realize, wow, what a wonderful thing. That exact amount could have meaning.
Jeanne, that is so beautiful, and I just want to interject here an example of what you're talking about at the C level, right? Because Christine is the one, I should preface my remarks by saying I've been told by some people that I'm a generous tipper, and I think maybe it's because a part of it is that I believe two things. One, when a person does a good job, you should acknowledge that, and tipping is one way of acknowledging that. And then two, that I've worked jobs where receiving tips, I appreciate. It makes a difference, okay? And so I remember we were staying in a hotel, and Christine made a big deal of, when we first got married, of making sure that the housekeeper for our hotel room, that she left a nice tip for her. And I said, oh, I've never not only have I never left a tip for the housekeeper, but it never occurred to me tip the bell guy, tip the person at the front desk, but and then she said, well, the housekeeper actually has the hardest job. They clean the tub, they vacuum the floor, they make the bed. And as I thought more about it, I said, how many people are doing really hard jobs and they are least thought of in terms of being tipped? So that actually shifted my worldview of, when I go, make sure to tip the housekeeper. And so here's the reason I'm telling the story that's relevant to what you're talking about. We were in a hotel in Connecticut, and I said to Christine, I said, it's nice to leave it on the dresser, but I like to put the tip in the person's hand. And so I think we had only been at the hotel one night, but I walked down the hall seeing if I could find the housekeeper. And Jeanne, when I put the money in her hand, I said, this is for you. I wanted to make sure it go in her hand. The tears welled up in her eyes. And she was like, it was almost non-verbally she was communicating. You have no idea how much, not just that she appreciated, but she apparently needed that money. I didn't know if she needed that money to get home in a taxi or to do something to buy food, but you could see that the money that I put in her hand, she needed it. And so I wanted to say that as part of the story, that we never know in these fundraising situations, I just put that in quotes, that sometimes we become a person's angel almost, if you will, unknowingly.
Yes. And I would love to go a step further on your story, Bob, and the desire to put it in the person's hand is such a profound one. You talk about reducing stress, and so much stress is caused by the increased amount of time people spend away from each other. So much stress is caused by the increasing amount of time we are not connecting live with human beings. A lot of people are spending time isolated, so maybe the person folding the beds and changing the sheets at the hotel is doing only that. In the routine of her life, she's had very little connection. So who knows on what level your desire to enter her space and give a gift live did something about her personal relationship with herself, her desire to be connected with. It's so profound. So to take that a step further would be to say that for listeners, when we're looking to fundraise and we're looking to bring good, there's such an opportunity to simply connect with people. When I have done fundraising events and someone says, we were expecting 25 people and we only have 12, one of the best answers I ever heard from a fundraiser I worked with was, I love that the 12 are coming, and the 12 who are coming are meant to be with us that night.
Wow.
She turned it completely around, that we have a relationship to grow with, and to acknowledge that the 12 people who are coming are the 12 people we are here to celebrate, and our goal has been reached.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it speaks to your desire to go personally give a gift, and then when fundraisers run events and bring people together for a good cause, to remember that the energy is the energy that's meant to happen is that people come together and we grow together to create a sense of care for others.
That is really beautiful, Jeanne. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Audience, we will take a short break and be back in a moment on Learn to Live Stress-Free with our featured guest today, Jeanne M. Stafford.
Hi, I'm Dr. Robert Wright, Jr., the Stress Relief Doctor, co-host of the Learn to Live Stress-Free podcast series. I'm an author, speaker, and stress management wellness coach. My published study is the first to show the connection between stress reduction, grief recovery, nitric oxide spiking, and the relaxation response. And my practical application of this knowledge helps you relieve the stresses of everyday life. I have the tools to dissolve your pain points quickly and effectively. Email me to find out how you can start to feel better now at stressfreenow.info/contact. That's stressfreenow.info/contact.
Welcome back to Learn to Live Stress-Free as we continue our conversation with our featured guest today, Jeanne M. Stafford. Jeanne, I have a question for you about you getting your clients to say yes. What are the best techniques to help an individual uncover and see their blind spots, those things that hold us back?
A lot of clients the clients that I work with are looking to take a leap in their lives, looking to go to a next step, looking where is their place? And in their heads, they're thinking, who am I? Who am I to do this thing I think I'm going to do? Why me? Tell me, Jeanne, in working together, how we could get there. So the first thing we work on is the sense of judgment they carry with them into the spaces of thought they have about their value in a space. So I'll bring it back to the systems in place in an improv scene and what it means to say yes to every space we enter. My clients get to set a list of goals for what they're looking for. For example, a client I'm working with in the financial industry is looking to hone his message, to make it as tight as possible and to be as peacefully connected with it as possible so it doesn't feel like an elevator speech. He is looking to branch out some of the offerings in the financial services area he works for and wants to be on video. Never been on video before, and they want to have lots of video now. So he had to work through the judgment he has about himself on video. So we dove in like improvisers. We actually live yesterday did a bunch of exercises in his office, and while he was laughing from the exercises, I started taping him in 30-second increments and 60-second increments, and he got to see the joy that he had after the end of. He was completely out of his head when I asked him a question. So I get clients to know what it feels like to be out of their head, and because if we're too aware of what we want to accomplish, we often forget to bring our most natural, loving, supportive, clear self. So we address those habits and bring light to them, and clients see that as a judgment of themselves and set themselves free.
Yes, I can see that. In terms of the setting themselves free, Jeanne, what I was wondering is, because when I looked at your yes, it was compelling to me and it drew me in. And the natural thing that came to my mind was, where does no fit into your paradigm? But it occurs to me that no is what you were just speaking about, is the judgment. Is that what the no is, or where is no in your yes?
Yes, people constantly say to me, that sounds really great, Jeanne, but I've got to say no to a lot of things. I have to get rid of a lot of people in my life, and I'm asked to do too much, and I'm a yes person, and the connotation of being a yes person has. They've developed a relationship with that phrase that makes them think I'm giving too much. I'm overextending myself. So when people say that to me, when I say yes, I am modeling that we say yes to ourselves. We feed ourselves back to the self-care of the messages we're giving to ourselves. So if you actually use your time being a master of saying what we're not going to do, and we're not going to go near these people who drain us, and we're not going to work with this group that just sucks the energy out of me. I'm going to steer clear, and I'm not going to do that. It is to turn it on its head and realize the amount of energy you're using thinking about what you're not going to do is keeping you from the energy you could be enjoying by acknowledging what you've succeeded at, by acknowledging that you are the sum of the events in your life, by acknowledging, rock on, sister, you did it. Look where you are, and look at the possibility in front of you. No one knows what will happen next. We'd like to think we know. By saying yes repeatedly over and over again to ourselves and acknowledging that the no word is there, the energy of no, say, keep it in the past. To move forward by saying yes, we're embracing the possibility and the increased, by increasing that message in your head, you are intuitively creating space for things to happen.
I say yes. Listening to you, that delivery was so wonderful. That no sounded like the 2-year-old no. I'm going to hold my breath until I get what I want. Whereas
Right.
your yes sounded very empowering and very clean. You're saying yes to what you want. You're not saying yes to denying yourself. You're saying yes moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that, and that really resonated with me in a way that I could use it.
Excellent.
Fantastic, Jeanne. I understand that you offer corporate trainings and deliver keynote speeches. Can you tell our audience about your workshops and the keynote speeches that you offer companies and groups?
Mm-hmm. My workshops are very interactive. There are no PowerPoints. It is live, interactive. Everybody is out of their seats, and we work through together as a group the way improvisers do to create a funny scene. I set a stage for the group to learn how to communicate more powerfully, literally giving them strategies, and I always point to the door when I'm working on a workshop and even giving a keynote that we point to the door that they came in. The job of every improviser walking off stage is to have been transformed, and I let everybody know the opportunity for them to be transformed is to learn how to say yes in the space and leave with the tools and the strategies to make their life easier, to make communication more effective, to feel lighter. So that is the essence of what the keynotes are in the workshop. So if someone's looking for a PowerPoint presentation, I would not be their girl. But if somebody is looking for a highly interactive, engaging group event, that is what I do. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, my email is Jeanne at JeanneMStafford.com, and Jeanne is spelled Jeanne at JeanneM, my middle initial Marie, Stafford, STAFFORD.com.
Oh, wow, you're a Marie. I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So on that note, Jeanne, just tell our audience about your free 30 Days to Yes program. I think share that offer so that they can claim it.
Great. On the first page of my website, JeanneMStafford.com, on the first page it says, grab your 30 Days of Yes. It's a free program that goes to your email every morning. It's an uplifting statement for 30 days to imbue the practice of yes, to understand what yes words are and how to read them every day and set an intention for momentum. And I said it's free. It's sitting there on the front page of my website. You put your email in, and you begin your 30 days immediately the next day.
Well, Jeanne, we want to thank you so much for being on the show today and sharing your time with us. And audience, if you want to get in touch with Jeanne, you can email her or go to her website. Her email is Jeanne, JeAnne, at JeanneMStafford.com, and that's her website, Jeanne, JeAnne, M, Stafford, STAFFORD, JeanneMStafford.com.
Jeanne, we've had so much fun with you today. Can you tell our audience what final thought or key idea you'd like to leave them with?
The practice of yes is a lifetime practice. The more you do it, the more you manifest. And I would urge your audience to start now, forgive themselves for where they think they haven't gone so far, and to embrace that, even to simply write down the words that they love the most, the things that they feel they're aligned with that are positive, and to repeat them to themselves over and over again, and to begin their life practice of yes today.
That is so beautiful, Jeanne. Jeanne, I want to thank you for being our featured guest today, doing the interview with us. And audience, I want to thank you for listening wherever you are in whatever time zone you're in right now. And we know that our show reaches far and wide, and we so much appreciate your presence, audience, and trust that you'll benefit in some unique way from the information we provided you during today's show. As always, we welcome and look forward to receiving your comments. Please let us know if there are any additional topics you'd like to see us cover, or a guest like Jeanne whom you'd like us to invite back. Please contact us through our website with your feedback and suggestions. Remember, listeners, if you'd like to experience the same benefits our coaching clients get with us, including learning how you can get more results in your day and easy ways to dissolve your chronic pain, stress, or anxiety, then give us a call at 954-900-2179. Mention that you heard our Stress Free Now podcast show, and you'll receive a free gift from us. Call or email us today to schedule your free consultation. For Christine Wright, this is Dr. Robert Wright, Jr. of StressFreeNow.info. Until next time, be safe and be well.